Hey guys, Valkyrie here. Seduce Me the Ottomy, Matthew's route. We left off with knowing Matthew's real name, Zakeru, and yeah, I hope you enjoy. As he said his name, I could feel it lock into my memory. Something in my head would make sure I would never forget it. Matthew pulled away and smiled at me, despite still carrying worry in his eyes.
If you are in any danger, call my name. I promise I'll come and help you.
I stared up at Matthew, unable to say anything. I could only nod in response. Matthew smiled before releasing my hand and heading into the dining room. Something told me that name would be used eventually. And right on cue, Naomi drove up to the gates with Susie waving me down. I rushed out the door and rushed to the door and we headed to school, talking about homework and about the upcoming day. We made it into the school without a hitch. Our lockers were in the same part of the hall, so we quickly unloaded what we needed to get and got our important books and necessaries. First incident of the day. I walked towards Zizu and Naomi, who were both waiting for me on the opposite side of the hall. Something hooked my ankle and made me fall forwards. Whoa!
Hey, are you okay? Who did that?
The three of us looked back to see Lisa and her gaggle of girls. Lisa had a look completely innocent, while the girls around her giggled like no tomorrow.
Why, you little... Suzu, don't!
I felt a giant fire of anger burning in my stomach as I stared at Lisa. Today was not the only time this happened to me. However, it was now clear who was behind these incidents. Even if she was innocent, and one of her goons did, it was not obvious that Lisa was the mastermind just from the look on her face. She was no friend, nor would she ever be. I had to do something. Stand up. No. I wasn't going to bring myself to her level. She was a bully, but I was not going to let her get to me. I had to be stronger than her, and the only way I would beat her. I stood up and brushed myself off, pretending nothing had happened.
Anderson, you okay? That was a pretty bad fall.
Yeah, I'm fine. A fall like that is nothing. I merely smiled at them, not wanting to let them know the pain rushing through my body from the fall. My arms were quaking, my shoulders were pulsing, but I remained content-faced. I quickly gathered up my belongings and nodded to my two friends. Come on, we'll be like the history. Susie and Naomi looked at each other before frowning and nodding to me. Naomi and Zuzu flanked me as we began walking to class away from the gaggle of bullies. As we walked, I could barely see Zuzu flipping the middle finger to the group behind us from the corner of my eye.
Friggin' bunch of Lisette feet lickers. That's gross, Suzu. It's true. It's all OMG! Lisette is the best! Let's follow her around because we obviously don't have lives.
Naomi and I couldn't help but laugh. The group behind us, however, did not like Zuzu's words.
At least my dad doesn't screw around in the black market to keep a stupid casino running.
Zuzu stopped. Naomi and I stopped as well to look back at Zuzu, who was completely red in anger. Zuzu slowly turned to head of the group, glaring daggers at them.
Fuck did you just say?
I had to act fast. I placed my hand on Zuzu's shoulder and gripped tightly, knowing she could try to push her hand away. Zuzu, they're not worth it. Let's just go.
No, I think it's about time we taught them some manners. Suzu!
I looked at Lisa and her group. Lisa had a wildly amusing smile on her face, which irked me to no end. Nevertheless, I knew that fighting wasn't going to get us anywhere. Let's go. I grabbed Zuzu by the shoulder roughly, pulling her back to Naomi, and Zuzu tried to step forwards to the group, but Naomi held her over our shoulder. We held on to Zuzu, who fought against our hands, so we marched to class. Surprisingly, the rest of the school day went off without another incident. I went to my classes, had lunch, and was anxious to get home. As the bell rang for school, I felt for my phone vibrate in my pocket. Huh? A text from Dad? I'll be picking you up today. Make sure you're ready to go home when I get there. That's kind of a surprise. I quickly headed back to my locker and got my things before waiting for Naomi and Zuzu.
Hey, are you ready to go?
Actually, my dad's picking me up.
Really? Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. We'll drive home together next time. Tell your dad that we've got you covered from now on.
Yeah, alright. Even while I laughed, something didn't seem right. My dad texted me to say this. Why was he going to pick me up? Had I done something wrong? I didn't know. I waved goodbye to Naomi and Zuzu before heading off to the usual spot, where my dad picks me up. I took the time to listen to my music while I waited. I need to go to another Rise of the Phoenix contest. Eventually I had played the entire album with no one showing up. What the? Hey, that's never late, especially not this late. I quickly dialed my day's number again, but as soon as I pressed call, it disconnected and read signal disconnected, error, message. What the? No signal? Error? How did I have no signal? I double checked my phone and saw all 5 bars of signal. He must be in a dead zone. Before I could finish, the group of hands grabbed my hands, feet, and covered my mouth, screaming onto the hand over my mouth, struggling to pull away from the hands grabbing at my limbs. It felt disgusting and scary feeling their hands on me. I needed it to stop.
Hey! Don't dirty up Malix's prey!
The voice, which sent fearful shiver down my spine, whispered into my ear.
You're coming with me, Miss Anderson.
I couldn't fathom what was happening, but before I knew it, I was blindfolded and my limbs were quickly tied up. I felt myself being carried somewhere and was shoved into something that echoed with the interior of a bus or a van. The doors closed and off I was taken, unsure of where I was going or why. All I knew was I was in trouble. All I saw was darkness. I felt numb as I was taken to a place I didn't know of. I couldn't even move my lips to scream. Sound zipped past my ears, first of the interior car, then the outside, then the echoey space between the whispers and cackles of people vibrating through it. However, the wrap around my eyes was eventually removed from my face and my bonds were cut. It took a while for my eyes to adjust, but I found myself in a warehouse surrounded by devils, including Malix, who was smirking at me.
Nicely done! I'm sure those little shits will come running to find you when they realize you didn't return to your precious little mansion. They'll search everywhere for you.
Malix walked over and set the barrel of his gun against the skin between my eyes.
It'll be so funny when they find your dead body instead.
Zakeru! All of a sudden, a bright purple light infused the room, causing the devils around me to uncover themselves.
What the?
Gusts of winds rushed past me, almost forcing me back. I covered my face with my arms, bracing myself and standing my ground. I tried to peek through my arms to see what was going on, but the light continued to shine brightly. As the gust slowly started to die, the light began to fade, revealing Matthew with his hands shoved in his pockets and his hood up. Matthew? Malix slowly moved his arms from his face, taking the sight of Matthew before laughing hysterically.
Are you kidding me? You summoned the crybaby runt?
Malix's laugh was cut short, however stopped by his gasp of pain as a foot of something embedding itself into flesh. I couldn't believe it, but somehow a knife had been stabbed into Malix's shoulder, causing him to grip it in pain.
What the hell? A knife?
Next time I won't miss your throat.
Malix snarled before ripping the knife out of his shoulder and tossing it to the ground. He quickly raised his gun and shot at Matthew, resulting only a stare wide-eyed at his target. In mid-air, a knife and Malix's bullet clashed and both collided to the ground between the demon and the devil. Matthew chuckled and pulled a hand out of his pocket, revealing a handful of knives rolled out like a fan.
Too slow, Malix. Must suck being an old fart.
Malix instantly grew furious, charging at Matthew while shooting rounds at Matthew's shadow-covered face. Matthew followed suit, rushing backwards and shot his knives at each of Malix's shot. Each shot was stopped by a flying knife, making multiple clangs and beat through the air. The remaining devils stared, trying to figure out what to do, help Malix or watch in silence. Eris, however, walked up beside me and crossed her arms as she watched with an amused smirk on her face. As Matthew backed into the far wall, he stood still, tossing knives, put knives at the incoming devil and his
Gotcha,
bullets.
you knife-throwing circus freak!
I saw a smirk on Matthew's face before he hopped up and flipped over Malix. The devil skidded to the stop, barely bumping against the brick wall. Matthew, however, didn't give Malix a chance to turn before shooting multiple knives into Malix's back.
Ah!
Bye-bye, Malix.
Matthew tossed the knife into the air and caught it before chucking it at the back of Malix's head. The knife sadly didn't get to meet its target, and Malix ducked out of the way and turned to face Matthew as he raged pure rage.
You little shit! You think you're all that?
Matthew brought out another knife and tossed it up and down to his hand. unchanged in his cool yet almost playful expression.
Little known fact, I just like having fun.
That's a load of bull, Matthew. You won't even fight me in your demon form. Why? Are you afraid I'll kill you as the demon scum you really are?
Demon form? I didn't understand. However, Matthew broke my thoughts from trying to figure that out.
Hey, mind closing your eyes for me?
Huh?
What are you babbling about now?
Before I could answer, the tension suddenly went from warm to almost ice cold. Then, at that moment, something in the air changed. The air instantly went from frantic to still in energy. What could have been described in tone as the colour red quickly turned into a deadly mix of purple and blue, as everything began to blend together all at once.
You asked for it, Malix! Now you're gonna get it!
My eyes never strayed from Matthew's face, however. Even as it changed, his eyes began to glow as a bright golden colour as a dark blue circle formed underneath Matthew's bare feet. As I stared at Matthew's skin begin to morph and shift, changing from human to something else, for some reason I was both scared and incredibly intrigued to see his new form. Before I was allowed to see Matthew's new form, however, a pair of hands quickly covered my eyes. Instinctively, I reached up and gripped them, trying to pull them off. A voice stopped me.
It's me. Don't look.
I listened carefully and let the last two words linger in my mind. Don't look. Why? What was being hidden from me? I wanted to know, but something told me to obey Damien's command. I suddenly heard gunshots making me tense up, but then I heard the sound of multiple stabs, followed by Malik's screamers' pain. The stabbing and the splashing sounds of blood and flesh grew more frantic in number. How many knives were Matthew using? Maybe it was better that I wasn't able to see.
Matthew, enough!
Almost an instant after James's command, the sound stopped. The only thing anyone could hear was the dripping of blood.
I guess I went a little overboard.
Malix is definitely dead, but you've lost your glamour spell.
Glamour spell? What did he mean? Why did Matthew sound so different? Why was this being hidden from me?
It's a spell that makes us look human.
I froze. Look human? They didn't have human forms after all? What did they look like?
Like demons.
As if Eric knew what Damien was talking about, Eric cleared his throat and spoke up, followed by the sound of a cork popping out of a bottle.
Well, not for much longer, Princess. Here, Matthew.
Oh, hey, you found my potion. Thanks.
I could hear the sound of clinking in a glass being passed before hearing Matthew guzzle down the liquid of some sort. The feel of the air around me gently began to warm back up, insinuating that everything had been returned back to normal. Finally, Damon moved his hands from my eyes, allowing me to see around me once again. The devil, including Eris, had fled. On top of Malix's body was a dirty sheet that was covered quickly from the bed, that was quickly turning red from the blood. The wall behind it was painted red in blood, still dripping on the floor and onto the blanket. The blanket looked like it was covering a mound of dirt instead of a body. The boys, however, had gathered around me, all of them, including Matthew, looking like nothing had happened. What just... I tried to speak, but everything zipped around me in my head, the whole event, and I felt like speaking wasn't possible.
Let's just get you home, miss. There's nothing more to see here.
I could only nod. What had happened boggled my mind to the point of disbelief. I was second-guessing everything, lost in the sea of what and how and when. As we walked out of the warehouse, I looked to Matthew for some sort of sign that I wasn't dreaming. Matthew rubbed the back of his neck, walking forward as it got away from what happened. It was over. Malix was gone and the boys were finally safe. A wave of relief ran through my body at the thought of them never having to deal with that group again. At the same time, a ping of realization hit the back of my mind. The boys were only going to stay until Malix was defeated. That was our deal. As we approached home, I could feel something heavy weigh down on my heart. It was late, but the boys led me inside and turned on the lights to the lobby.
Finally, we can relax.
It will be good to have some rest without devils breathing down our necks.
I'm just tired. Can I hit the hay early?
I think some sleep would be good for all of us.
I looked at Damien, knowing he could read my mind, and frowned. I didn't want him to know about my thoughts on the situation. Yeah, bed sounded good. I wanted to just end tonight. Too much had happened and I felt dizzy just from trying to figure it out. However, Damien spoke up, stopping all of us from moving.
Should we be gone in the morning?
Huh? The air became still with tension. The realization of the situation hit the boys like a wave, forcing them to turn to me in curiosity. They had remembered their deal and we were now waiting me to decide the fate. I gulped face to face with the reality of the situation. The boys were leaving it up to me. They looked like they were willing to accept whatever I had demanded. It was only fair, though, after all what happened. I looked at Matthew, feeling my heart flutter in my chest. I didn't want him to leave, but what would he ask? To stay? I hoped that he would say no and ask me to stay longer. As if he knew what I wanted, Matthew moved and stepped forward to me, taking my hands, and he gently smiled as he spoke.
I want you to know that you've been really generous to us, and I want to thank you for letting us stay here. But is it okay if we stay a little longer?
My heart skipped while a large red blush ran across my cheeks. The boy stared at Matthew wide-eyed, but didn't dare to speak out. Matthew stepped back to give me some space, returning to where he was. I moved my gaze across each boy, trying to make a decision. If they left in the morning, I would never see them again and my life could return to normal. If I did decide to let them go, that would have been the best. No goodbyes, no delays. But did I want to? They had done so much for me in the small amount of time. Let them stay. I wanted them to stay. I wanted him to stay. I merely smiled, staring at the man I had come to have feelings for before speaking at last. I would love it if you all could stay. The boys cheered tiredly, but nonetheless enthusiastically. I giggled under the sight, and it was cute to see everyone so excited, despite the tiredness that ran equally throughout our bodies. Today was a rough day. My home is your home, as long as you can still help with the chores. The boys nodded in unison, agreeing to the terms I had set for them. Despite the good situation, I felt myself slipping into unconsciousness. However, James quickly clapped his hands together, getting everyone's attention and waking me up, making sure I didn't pass out on the floor.
All right, everyone. We're all very tired, so let's head to bed, shall we?
Oh! Yeah, sleep is actually a thing. Right.
We've had a very long day, but it will be good to just relax tonight and tomorrow.
Sleep sounds really good right now.
Yeah, man.
Oh, let me get comfortable, guys. I watched a happy smile grow onto Matthew's lips. He shared my excitement knowing that we would be together longer. Who knew how long we would stay together? All I cared about was that I would be with him. The others quickly left to finally rest, leaving me and Matthew alone at last. My heart fluttered a bit as Matthew practically skipped closer to me in excitement. It was really cute to see him that way, so I didn't do anything but smile.
Thank you so much for letting us stay.
You're welcome, Matthew. I'm happy to have you stay here. I watched his smile brighten a bit before he cleared his throat and chuckled a bit. I didn't know if it was the tiredness or my growing attachment to him, but I felt myself sway a bit on my feet. However, Matthew's face made it clear that he wanted to say something else, making me forget that my bed was also calling me.
Listen, about what happened at the warehouse.
No, it's fine. You did what you had to do. I understand. I had accepted everything that happened and knew that Matthew had to do what he had to do. He was real, and he was someone I didn't want to be without, even if it meant nodding against my curiosity. Besides, I was too tired to explore that memory further. Matthew nodded before holding out a hand to me.
Come on then. Let's get you to bed.
I nodded before Matthew gently lifted me up into his arms like a bride and carried me to my room. I didn't want to leave his arms, leaning my head against Matthew's chest, but eventually I was slowly lowered to my bed and covered with my bed covers. I was still in my school clothes, but I was too tired to strip or care. I looked to Matthew, fighting a yawn from escaping me as he gently ran a hand over my hair.
Have a good night, okay? I'll make breakfast again in the morning.
I nodded with a tired smile before watching him slowly stand and leave my room, closing the door. A wave of happiness washed over me. As I laid in my bed, I made a good choice. Sure, it would be hard, but I could tell that I would be able to manage it. Help around the house and being with a man whom I was slowly starting to fall for would be worth it. I slowly felt my exhaustion take over. I let sleep come see me as I drifted into the darkness in my mind. Everything was peaceful. I was happy. Love this song.
You are an interesting creature.
And there is Michaela. I opened my eyes to see a woman staring down at me with a very sly smirk on her face. I opened my mouth to scream in fright, but a hand quickly covered my mouth.
No screaming now. Too early, silly girl.
I could only stare up at the woman above me. I still felt weak, not having the strength to move or fight her off. What was going on? Why was she here?
Why do the boys like you? You're unique, yes, but that can't be all that you have going for you.
Rage began to consume my core again. This woman, whoever she was making me mad. She must have known as she let another smirk grow on her face.
Ooh, you're feisty. That could be why.
Before I could bite her hand in anger, she removed her hand from my lips, standing up and staring down at me from her place next to my bed. I quickly sat up and glared daggers at the intruder. She was very beautiful, but I felt more anger than amazement. Who the hell are you, and why are you in my room? The woman began to laugh, making the rage inside me increase. I wanted to punch her, but I waited for her answer.
How silly of me. I forgot that we demons are not well known of in your world. You can call me Diana, little human.
Diana. Demon? You're a demon.
I am. But I'm much more than just an average demon.
What do you mean?
Silly girl. I'm a succubus.
I stared at Diana in shock. A succubus? First incubi, now succubus? Great. I had now met both genders of sex demons. Diana crossed her arms underneath her bosom and looked at my body.
Well, you are pretty. But you seem very reckless. Too reckless.
I moved out and stood from my bed, still glaring at Diana. Why are you here?
Oh, I just wanted to see who my competition was.
Competition?
For the boys, of course. They don't belong here, and yet here they remain. I want to know why, and remedy this little issue.
This girl was seriously pissing me off. Issue? What issue? They want to stay here so they can.
Silly, uneducated human. You don't understand the important roles these boys play in the abyssal planes. You keeping them here is practically imprisonment.
You have about 10 seconds to leave.
Is that a threat? How cute. What are you going to do? Kill me?
And if I do?
You barely have the strength to stand, little human. I can rip the rest of your energy out and knock you into a coma. You'll never be able to wake up again.
Touch me and
Enjoy every minute of it.
I felt my body freeze and heat up with most painful haze. My mind began to feel fuzzy as Diana stepped to me, kissed my cheek.
You're going to listen to everything I say without any questions. Got it? Good. I plan to bring the boys back to the abyssal planes. Why? So that I can take my place as queen of their realm. They have no reason to be here in this silly little world, so I'm going to make sure they return home. Okay, Pumpkin?
I nodded but growled. My rage couldn't be concealed, despite the hold I was under. You evil bitch.
Call me evil all you want, dearie. I'm not evil. You're just in my way.
I felt Diane lean into my ear and whisper, making me unconsciously shiver in both pleasure and annoyance.
Now, be a good little human and go to bed. I'll make sure they're gone before you get home tomorrow from school, so make sure to say goodbye in the morning.
I felt my body move on its own to lay in my bed and cover itself with my bed sheets. I glared at Diana with the entire way down. Diana laughed at my futility. I'll get you.
Oh, please do.
All of a sudden her voice deepened and became cold and demonic, sending a violent scared shiver down my spine. Her red lips practically illuminated the darkness of my room as she glared at me.
Give me a reason to make your life a living hell.
I gritted my teeth, trying to fight back against the hold on me. She couldn't have been that tough. She needed energy to survive, right? I was sure she couldn't have enough to hold me down forever. Diana then laughed and returned to normal.
Oh, and make sure you don't tell the boys I was here. I want my visit to be a surprise.
No, I'm telling them. I felt the hold on me disappear, allowing me to sit up and practically growl at Diana in rage. What's stopping me?
And you must not care about your friends and family as much as you care for the boys.
I stopped and stared. What did she mean by that? Was that a threat to my family? Diana smirked at me, knowing the confusion behind my eyes.
Let's just say that if you tell the boys about me, I'll make sure that no one will care for you, and you'll be all alone in this little house until the day you die.
I could feel fear creeping into me. Alone? How could she do that? The word demon reverberated in my head, reminding me that I was facing against something supernatural. A human with a shield virus, a devil was one thing. A human on her own versus a demon was another.
Have a good night.
And with that, Diana sank into the floor, threw out a magic purple pentagram, which disappeared as her head vanished onto the floor. I couldn't believe it. I had one problem, and now I had another. Instead of crazy psycho devil who wanted to kill me and the boys, I had a succubus wanting to ruin my life and take the boys. Could my life get any worse? No. I wasn't going to let her win. She's not as powerful as she looks, and I know it. I had to mentally confirm it. She wasn't going to win. The boys wanted to stay with me. I let out a sigh before closing my eyes, affirming my plan of action. No matter what she was going to do, I was going to beat her. Eventually the morning arrived, and the sun screamed at me to get up. Surprisingly, I woke up before my alarm clock again, which was nice. I stretched out and quickly got dressed, getting ready for school. She expects me to say goodbye to the boys. I'll say good morning, and we'll see them when I come home. No way am I going to say goodbye. I scooped up my bag and headed downstairs to the dining room, seeing the boys already eating a delicious section of food. The smell made my stomach growl wildly at the sight of the food and drew me to walk further into the room.
Good morning, miss. Did you sleep well?
Before I could lie, hiding the incident in the back of my mind, Damien furrowed his eyebrows and stopped eating.
She's here.
The boys looked at Damien confusing, while I cursed his abilities silently in my mouth.
Damien, what's up with you? Of course she's here. She kinda owns the house.
Damien looked at me, wanting me to explain to him. However, the threats that Diana gave me last night warned me to keep my mouth shut. But Damien pursed his lips together into a fine line. The other boys looked at me with a raised eyebrow. A girl named Diana came by last night.
Diana? Is she important?
Did she try to hurt you?
She's a succubus. That single word made the boys stop and stare at me. I looked at each boy, unsure of what was going through their minds. Should I have avoided it?
So, she's come to try and bring us back.
She must really be desperate.
Well, what should we do now?
Nothing. She'll give up eventually.
Will she?
The boys continued to look at me as if I knew the answer to that question. Damn it, Damien. She said that if I told you, she'd make my life a living hell. She can't possibly do that, right? She's not a devil.
No, she isn't. However, she is a very powerful demon.
She's a master of mind manipulation and has been trained in illusion. Unlike other demons who use strength to get power, she uses her charisma.
She has the power to make armies bow to her and obey her every whim. That's why she's so obsessed with us.
What? What do you mean?
Well, she sorta has family ties to us. She was promised to marry one of us in exchange for more power.
She's just some whacked up hussy who doesn't know how to close her legs. She's not a real threat.
Oh, really? I feel insulted.
The boys and I looked around the room, wondering where the voice came from. I felt cold sweat run down the back of my neck in fear, remembering what kind of power she had. Okay guys, I'm gonna end this video here. I will see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed Seduce Me, Matthew's Root episode, whatever this is. Yep. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Janet.